I think we're live. Are we live? We're about to find out. Let me hit the magic button. Please be live. Please be live. Was it fingers crossed? Or... yeah, whatever. Let's have a quick look. Let me quickly refresh this and make sure. Okay. So unfortunately what I had to do is go and get a second internet connection put in. I had to do this because every time I would upload to Google, like anything Google, mostly YouTube was obviously like highly affected given it's what I use for live streaming and things. Also for video uploading, it just like it sucked like you wouldn't believe. It was so terrible. It wasn't just YouTube either, but I'm hoping now that I've got a second internet connection just for live streaming that it's gonna work and we're not gonna drop off. I need to actually figure out how to bring up that. Where's the status details and stuff? Stats? Hey! Okay. No frames dropped from the network. Fingers crossed it stays like that. That's what we like to see. Let me move that out of the way though, just for the time being. But anyway, so I was having problems, and I'll get to what we're seeing up there in just a moment. I was having some problems with uploading to Google. It didn't matter if it was YouTube Live, uploading after the fact to YouTube, if I was using Google Drive, if I'm using like SMTP email to Gmail, or through the web browser, or uploading to like Hangouts, a picture even. It just sucked. Like it really sucked. I think a 1 gig video file was going to take something like 39 minutes to upload, and I'm like, that's terrible. Completely unsustainable. But anyway, so I got this new internet connection specifically just for live streaming. Same file uploaded in like a minute and a half, whatever. So yay! I can see everybody coming in. Crypto Commodore, hi. Script Skynet, what's up, man? KJ Dubia 79 just got a computer. Woo woo. Oh, nice. Now you want some DGB something? Yeah, cool. Welcome. Okay, so it looks like we're good then. I think we're good. It says 6 people watching, so I'm guessing I'm alive. And it says no network frames dropped. Yes! So hopefully it stays like that. If there is any quality issues, sing out like in the live chat or whatever, and yeah, I'll get to it. And Crypto Commodore, I'll come back to your question later. Short answer is no. So, Bitcoin Cash's halving led to a 100-minute block time. 10 times higher than normal. 100 minutes! Holy damn! That's some serious block timing. Now, the thing is, so this has happened before. This actually, that same block timing was, like, I mean, DigiByte was suffering a lot back in the day, originally. This is why we specifically implemented DigiShield back in 2014, back in February 2014, I believe, if memory serves me right. And this same reason, so DigiByte had it bad with our block timing. Dogecoin almost froze for like, I think it was like 48 or 72 hours. There was like 2 blocks that whole time or something incredible. Like that's way worse than this, right? No one uses Doge as cash though, like they're supposedly using Bitcoin Cash, so that's kind of funny. But anyway, so 100-minute block time, 10 times higher than normal is bad. So what would that be for DigiByte? 10 times higher than normal, 150, so... oh, that's basically a Litecoin time. 2.5 minutes. Yep, math checks out, cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of the advantages of having a 15-second block time is that even if we are 10 times for whatever reason, it's not going to be as bad. Anyway, so what we'll do, let's quickly read through this, and then I'll jump into why DigiByte is awesome. So this is going to be a real, like, you know, pat ourselves on the back. Throwing a little bit of shade, obviously, where shade's due, but, you know, let's try and keep this a bit positive here. So, today at midday, the Bitcoin chains of BTC, what? Oh, the leading fork of the BTC chain. It's like Bitcoin didn't have this problem. Okay, so BCH saw its own block reward reduced. They've just had their halving. So it's gone from 12.5, which we can see here, to 6.25, resulting in a 50% reduction. Hence, the fuck is this? Go away. Hence the moniker of halving. Right, so block rewards literally got halved from one block to the next. Halved. Interestingly, the price from Bitcoin Cash has been stagnant despite the event. Nothing happened. Yep. Block time spiked. There you go. No blocks have been mined for 74 minutes. La 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 la. Since it hit the halving high at 630,000. This is seemingly due to BCH miners needing to adjust for the reduced profits. So here's what happens. Block reward halves. Far less profitable all of a sudden. Miners leave, as you would expect, because they're doing it to make money. They're not doing this out of, like, charity. It costs them a lot of money to do this kind of thing, like, potentially millions of dollars per day. So, if, like, half of them, potentially more than half, up and disappeared. Presumably more than half, because 100-minute block time. So what I'm guessing has happened here, now this is a little bit of speculation and things on my behalf, is that most miners basically were like, we out. Like, had enough, not even going to bother trying. Like, we don't know what it is, we'll let the dust settle, and then we'll come back, potentially, if it's profitable. Clearly, a lot of people did that. Given the fact that it's, like, 10x the block time, that's crazy. Anyway. So where are we here? It's not out of the woods just yet, la-di-da. Now, they apparently didn't, according to the Bitcoin Cash developers, they didn't end up implementing DigiShield. They, for whatever reason, were not entirely happy with some of the ways that it worked, and they never, despite what they have being similar, apparently it is not DigiShield. This is according to them. So Jared still maintains that it is. I personally don't really give a shit. But they clearly got some serious problems. So maybe this is working out for the best, like the BCH developers saying it's not. It's hilarious either way, whatever. So, here we go. What have we... Oh, no, that's price? Oh, I don't care. Okay. Anyway, right, so what we can do is let's go to measuring the expected block timing for difficulty adjustment. Now, on this, I specifically talk about... So there's Bitcoin, Litecoin, and DigiByte. Just to give you some bit of like an insight here. So instead of taking 2 weeks for the adjustment, as Bitcoin does, or 3.5 days for Litecoin, DigiByte adjusts its difficulty every single block. It is this difficulty that determines how often a block is expected to be found by the expected hash rate to maintain the intended block timing. So what's happened with Bitcoin Cash, their hash rate has probably just up and disappeared. I've got up here what to mine, and I've said SHA-256. I don't know how accurate this is in terms of it saying that they are currently at 2,000, so that's 2.6 terahash. Beta? Tera? No, that's 2,000. Sorry, I've got those back to front. Yeah, whatever. That seems pretty similar to what it is normally. It says they're only down 13%. Maybe people have come back since this article was published within the last 24 hours. Okay, interesting. Right, but let's carry on going here. So what is DigiShield? DigiByte, now being multi-algorithm, maintains 5 independent difficulties for each of the 5 algorithms that compete in every single block. Now, this is important. We've got 5 of them. And for every single block, all 5 are active. So with the likes of, say, Ravencoin, they've got 16, I believe. That's why they're using X16R, last I checked at least. And you basically rotate through them. So what happens is you take the nonce from the previously found block, and that determines effectively which algorithm you're going to use for the next block. And everybody goes, okay, we're no longer going to be doing Skeen. We're now all jumping on to Blue Midnight Wish. And then we're all going to instead jump on to SHA-256, and we all basically rotate through them, and everybody decides that they're going to do that same one, like, sub-algorithm, effectively. Quick shout-out to everybody in the chat there. Hey, everybody. It's nice to see a few friendly faces in there. So, DigiByte, so they, yeah, like I mentioned, they jump through them, like, one by one by one by one, sometimes, like, back and forth, and then it all depends on a bunch of different things. But with DigiByte, we've got our 5 over here, and all 5 compete, every single one. So not only are you competing to find every single block, but your algorithm that you are specifically mining competes against other algorithms. It's a very important distinction because the two are not the same. Despite the fact that Ravencoin has 16 different sub-algorithms, it is still one. I'm holding up two fingers. One algorithm. And only one algorithm that they use. So they would not use anything like MultiShield. They don't have the advantages that we have with MultiAlgo, and I'll get to that soon. So, yeah, I talk a bit about it here as well with Doge. Do I say how long it was? No, I don't. But I'm pretty sure it was over 72 hours. They had like 2 or 3 blocks or something. And that was why they ended up, they put out a whole bunch of stuff back on the day on GitHub. You can actually go back and read it. Fascinating stuff. And they're out there and they're basically going, help! And, well, not quite like that. That's a bit overdramatic, but you get the point. And one of the things is that somebody put forward the suggestion of DigiShield after they'd already been looking into a bunch of others. They then had a look at DigiShield and went, not too sure exactly how it works or why it works. Let's have a chat with Jared. They had a chat with Jared and I think somebody else from the development team who was involved actively back then who may not be any longer. Whatever. And they, according to Jared, they actually got on the phone call and spent a few hours talking with them, and he helped guide them through a bunch of things, answered a whole ton of questions. They ended up implementing it, and yay, everyone was happy. So, just how good is DigiShield? Because we're comparing this now to Bitcoin Cash. So even though Bitcoin Cash doesn't use Bitcoins, I feel like I should go back actually and update this. Maybe I'll do that. I'll go back and I'll update this and we'll find out, because this will be fascinating to see. So, I've included the details here of the blocks that I checked. So 144 blocks ago, the timestamps between them. Bitcoin was out by 2 hours and 44, 8.4%. Litecoin was out by 1 hour and 16 minutes. We were out by 1 minute and 56 seconds. Over that same, now we did time periods, we didn't do block counts. And I think if you look at block counts, it gets even worse for Bitcoin if memory serves me right. I've probably got everything written down somewhere like in a CSV sheet or something, but whatever. What if we look at 10 days worth? Now this one was, I think it actually went even worse. Yeah, here we go. So Bitcoin swung from 7 hours too fast to 2 hours too slow. So technically, that's 9 hour difference, which is hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge difference. So 9 hours over 10 days, was it? 10 days worth. DigiByte out by 8 minutes. 8 minutes over 10 days. So clearly what we've got with MultiShield, which is the MultiAlgo version of DigiShield, is working great. Is that the same algorithm as Monero? No, Monero now uses RandomX, which is something that we are looking to bring in, potentially, hopefully, with a little bit of luck. It's one of the things I'm actually looking to talk with Christy Lee Minahan about. I'm actually looking to do a live stream with her. We're just waiting on a microphone. She's getting something similar to this. And once she's got that, we're going to be... Let's put that back up there. We'll do another chat. We'll have a bit more of a chat about ProgPOW as well, ProgPow. Yeah, so ProgPow and RandomX hopefully to come in for DigiByte, which is what RandomX is what Monero are using. That'll replace one each respectively of the 5 algorithms. Visualize though. Now I'm kind of setting the scene here, so bear with me if you've read this before, right? So check this out. That's our difference. This is Litecoin's difference, despite the fact that they have the same difficulty adjustment as Bitcoin's. And this is Bitcoin's. Like, that's freaking huge compared to us. That's what she said. So let's come back though. Oh, because have I got this? Now I wanted to talk about the security that we get from MultiShield. So, a couple of things here as well. DigiByte doesn't have a halving event, so we don't have the same kind of problems when it comes to this shenanigans, let's call it, for lack of a better word, right? Because every month the block reward reduces by 1%. we don't have any great big like reason for people to literally up and disappear unless it is price related, like the generic trading price. So if there is, let's say for example, if Bitcoin price shoots up and it leaves DigiBytes in the dust for whatever reason, like hypothetically here, then miners traditionally will leave and go to the most profitable chain. There are a few what we call tribal miners, tribalistic miners, and they will mine regardless of the short-term fluctuations in the price. But we don't have any great big like chop the supply in half, which means that you then have to rely a lot more on the block rewards coming at us out of the blue. Now, why is Jared messaging me? That's okay. Let's take a look though at MultiShield, because this is really quite cool. So we've talked about that one. Why did I have this open? Oh yeah, okay. So I was looking at what we are at the moment for our hash rate. Let's compare this. So this has never been shown before. And I might get in a little bit of trouble, but we'll see. We're gonna do this anyway. This is a blog post that never actually saw the light of day. And it's not one that I wrote. This is from a unknown exchange. Yeah. And they actually, so they wrote this back in April 2019. So yeah, like we're just under, yeah, it was literally 360 days ago. John is saying, is this your white paper? No, it's not, but maybe I should actually do something about that. Let's do another live stream and we'll do that. It doesn't look super pretty, but maybe I should actually just why not? Anyway, now this is really cool, because so what they did back in the day, this exchange, which wishes to remain anonymous, had a cryptographic expert that they were basically, I think they contracted, I'm not 100% certain, but let's say they contracted this person who is a specialist basically in cryptography. This particular exchange was going through and was reviewing all of their projects to make sure that they were not vulnerable to any glaringly obvious security holes, for example, just in the general cryptography that was being used. Good, great for them, because they don't want to put themselves up and be unnecessarily at risk. Obviously. Like, you're an exchange, you are arguably the number one target for people if they're going to try and do double spins, for example. So they hired an independent cryptographer who went through, and we got this never published blog post written by them. I'm trying to be very careful with what I say here. They weren't supposed to publish it because their marketing team, and I think even the legal team, basically came back and said, we don't want to be publicly commenting on this kind of thing. But the funny thing is this was what was... Is it? Where is it? No, it's not. Okay. Yep. Well, let's quickly read through this together. If you've already been reading through this while I've been talking away here, then I apologize. John saying we won't say anything. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to come out, but whatever. I'm just in one of those moods. Why not? Okay, so DigiByte. Why don't I quickly let's zoom in on this just a smidge here. DigiByte is a proof-of-work blockchain that supports 5 algorithms. Now, they specifically mention in here Grostal. Technically, even at the time, that was wrong. We don't use Grostal. We used Myriad Grostal. Now, the differences there are that the Myriad Grostal algorithm does one iteration of Grostal and then one iteration of SHA-256, whereas Grostal itself does 2 iterations of the Grostal algorithm. That's the subtle difference there. We've replaced it since with Odocrypt, so it's, by the by, whatever. But, yeah, worth noting anyway, for anybody who's curious. Now, miners choose with hash function to mine, And DigiByte adjusts the difficulty for each hashing algorithm to keep each one mining 20% of the blocks. Now, the last time that I checked, I don't know if I've actually got a blog post on this, but we were within 1% across all of them. So some of them were at like 19.1% over like 2 or 3 days worth, and some others were at like 20.6, for example. It was all within give or take 1% of what it was supposed to be, which was really, really cool to see. Really cool to see. So, the DigiByte proof of work of algorithm has 3 benefits. It increases decentralization in terms of ASIC manufacturers and pools. This is because we've got like a broader array of hardware and things like that. It protects the network fluctuation when mining pools temporarily drive up the hash rate on one hash function and then disappear to mine a different currency. That was the issue with the original DigiShield algorithm. That was what we solved basically with it. And thirdly, it makes 51% attacks more difficult to carry out by requiring attackers rent multiple hash functions simultaneously. So, again, I'm not a big fan of specifically talking about how difficult is it to go through and try and attack DigiByte, but I feel like in this instance it's probably worth discussing, and this is why we have confirmations, and why we recommend a certain number of confirmations, and why, if you are an exchange, I'm of the opinion that your confirmation shouldn't just be like a fixed like 10 or 40, as most of them are, but have it go up and down, depending on how much DigiByte has been deposited. Deposited? It's actually probably withdrawn. Yeah, deposited from your exchange. Anyway, congrats on the house script. Hey. Now, the DigiByte proof of work function get next work required version 4. So we've had a couple of them because we've had the original one. We've had DigiShield. We then went to MultiAlgo and we used a different algorithm temporarily because we didn't have DigiShield dynamically adjusting across all of them. I don't know what we actually used. I think we might have used something like DGW or something. I should find out. And then we're on the 4th one now. Get next work required version 4. So yeah, 4. Yay, I can count. Good me. Now, this adjusts the work required for each hash function based on how many blocks ago it was last mined. Repeating a hash function too soon increases its difficulty by 4 to 15%. An attacker that mines the same hash function 5 blocks in a row would double the work required for that hash function. A 10-block chain would quadruple, 15 would octuple. And then this lady was being funny. Is octuple even a word? Actually, I don't even know if it is. Yeah, John, I love the title of it as well. With our hash power combined, we are DigiByte. Isn't it like... That was one of those shows back in the day. Captain Planet. By our powers combined, we are Captain Planet, or something like that, I think at least. Now, so in February 2019, although this was actually finalized in April and we were looking to publish it in April, we based the data off of what we had in February because this happened. I think this was originally being worked on the last 2 or 3 days of February, and they originally only shared this with us in mid-March. I'm not too sure why, but never mind. Okay, so these numbers are a little bit stale, don't get me wrong, but use your imagination and just kind of work out what it is now. You've got the details here on what to mine if you're really curious about worldwide details and things like that. But as of the time of writing, this was all accurate. So we'll go into this, right? So in February, the network difficulty fluctuated between 40,000 terahash to 60,000 terahashes per second. This is specifically just for SHA-256, which makes up 1 out of every 5 blocks, approximately, give or take 1%. We examined NiceHash to see how much it would cost to rent enough hash power to 51% attack DigiByte. We used the post-crash price of 1 Bitcoin equaling $4,000. NiceHash had 330,000 terahashes of SHA-256 and negligible amounts of other hash functions. I don't think they even do... So they definitely don't do autocrypt. Last I checked, they don't do Quibbit or Skeen either. There is a third-party one that does Quibbit. I'm not sure of any that do Skeen. I don't know anybody who rents autocrypt. It's literally only DigiByte, so why would you not just do it directly? But whatever. There was Actually, a funny story, I found out there's 2 other blockchains that are actually looking to intentionally integrate AutoCrypt, which was really quite cool. I don't have their names in front of me, but they are out there, and one of them actually contacted me and said, hey, can you put us in touch with the people that were the brains behind it and things. We love it, we think it's cool, and they're interested in integrating it. So, interesting stuff. So this 330,000 terahash of SHA-256, that is a little more than 8 times the total hash power of the DigiByte network for a mere $2,400. So you'd have to, I think that's per hour? Or per terahash? Yeah, that's got to be per hour. But wait, remember our word for the day, octuple. After 15 blocks, the hash power required to mine DigiByte with just SHA-256 would increase by a factor of 8. Now this is really interesting because I've previously had some discussions myself with especially the Litecoin community after Charlie Lee tried throwing some shade at Jared back in the day, saying that DigiByte was incredibly insecure, rah-de-rah. And back then it was my misunderstanding about the way that this worked. So there is nothing preventing consecutive blocks in DigiByte. Nothing whatsoever. They can be consecutive. Actually, can we bring up... One moment, caller. Let's bring this up. Actually, I can put this up here. The joys of having big monitors. Yay! No, I can't, because then you can't see the algorithm. Damn it. Let's shrink it down a smidge. Hey, look at that. Okay. So, we have 2 qubit blocks in a row. 1, 2. Totally fine. Perfectly acceptable. You can have 3 in a row as well. Now, with MultiShield, there is no hard cap on the number of consecutive blocks that you can have in a row. The idea behind this being that we wanted to have, I say we, but I wasn't actually involved with DigiByte back in 2015 when these decisions were being made. But let's say, for example, something happens and most of the AutoCrypt and most of the Skeen and most of the scrypt mining all drops off, and all we're left with is Qubit and SHA-256, maybe due to some kind of fracturing of the internet or something like that. The idea being that the remaining algorithms could keep the blockchain going happily. Even if like a great big like split of the internet were to occur and something like, let's say for example America's gone and put up a great firewall like they have in China, and all of a sudden something happens and a bunch of miners that are in America get knocked off the network because they're no longer talking with the outside world. The rest of the blockchain will basically just carry on fine, no one cares at all, it's not going to affect us at all. Same for if China and their current 70 to 80% of all SHA-256 mining worldwide were to up and disappear, we don't give a shit, it's totally fine, we've got everything else to carry on, perfectly happy. The blockchain wouldn't miss a beat at all. So, yeah, that's cool. Anyway, so they are, where are we? Back to da-da-da-da-da. After 15 blocks, the hash power to mine DigiByte with just SHA-256 would have increased by a factor of 8. The attacker would then have to stop because nice hash has nothing left to rent. An attacker could only create a 15-block deep chain reorganization on the DigiByte network, which is 4 minutes. So, if you were to try and be malicious, hypothetically, this is why a lot of exchanges and things have a 40 to 50 deposit timer. Because after that, so to give you an example, the price where were we up here? It's every 5 blocks, here we go. An attacker that mines the same hash function 5 blocks in a row would double the work required for that hash function. A 10 blockchain would quadruple, a 15 blockchain would octuple. So it gets exponentially harder and harder, and my fingers going off the screen here, as time goes by. Now, so where are we here? How much did they say that was? 330,000 terahash. Yep, carry on. Dun, dun, dun. Now, nice hash is not the only source of SHA-256. Suppose every Bitcoin miner in the world, we're not just talking about those that are mining like 1 or 2 pools, we're talking every single Bitcoin miner in the world colluded to attack DigiByte. DigiByte has only 40,000 terahash combined to, contrast to Bitcoin's high of 61 million terahash. This means that Bitcoin has 2 to the power of 10 as much hash power as DigiByte. Due to the 5-block doubling difficulty, the miners would only be able to create a 50-block reorg before they ran out of hash power entirely. So 12.5 minutes. The miners would forego a $50,000 block reward for forging a 50 blockchain on DigiByte. The interesting thing, though, is that their blocks would come in hard and fast at the start due to the lower difficulty, so technically you wouldn't be foregoing 12.5 minutes. It's actually slightly less than that, depending on things, but whatever. DigiByte's use of 5 mining algorithms is a novel approach to proof of work. It offers decentralization and greater security while requiring less overall network hash power. Let's just let that sink in for a moment. This particular exchange, which shall not be named, said greater security compared to with Bitcoin. Let's just let that, we'll let that simmer for just a moment there. So if you think about it though, right, let's say every single Bitcoin miner in the world is now colluding, and they can only go 50 blocks deep on DigiByte. Let's compare that to how they basically instead, as long as you have, like, what was it? So CZ back in the day said, I talked about this with Joel from the Dash team recently, how CZ said that he could roll back the Bitcoin blockchain. My math at the time estimated it would take approximately 12 days if they had a 72-hour head start. But it would be incredibly profitable for 60% of the network to, which was 3 pools at the time, to collude and roll back this attack on Binance. Incredibly profitable to the tune of, like, I think they were going to make out with like 40 million in profit by comparison, because they get all the block rewards, they get all of the transaction rewards, and it's fascinating stuff, I thought. Let's just quickly, I'll go back to the chat here. Is it possible to change Odocrypt from prog POW? Script Skynet says prog power to replace Quibbit. Yeah, probably. So we're looking to replace one of the algorithms that we are dominant in and one of the other algorithms that we are not dominant in. So at the moment it looks like SHA-256 and Quibbit are up for grabs. The order is negligible. It really makes no difference whatsoever in the grand scheme of things. Originally we were thinking maybe we separate them by, say, like 3 months, 6 months. But to be honest, with what we saw with the changeover to Odocrypt and the stability of the network, we could literally do it like block after block, for example, and it would, to be honest, it would probably be just fine. The difficulty adjustment algorithm, I think there was 3 Odocrypt blocks in a row when we swapped over and we pulled out Myriad Grostal and we put in Odocrypt. And the block timings were beautiful. It was, yeah, anyway, slight proud father kind of moment, despite the fact that I had nothing to do with the creation of that algorithm. Yeah, so what were we looking at? We came in a little late. Which exchange? No hints. You can go back and watch a bit later on, though. Let's just say this exchange has previously said that DigiByte did not meet their criteria for, yeah. and this was April of last year. Keep that in mind. So, anyway, if you had those same, let's just pick 3 pools. Actually, can we? Let's bring this up really quickly because I want to find Bitcoin hash rate distribution. Because this is why I'm such a big fan of MultiShield and our MultiAlgo approach, and why I think we need to go down the prog POW and RandomX pathway. And where's the distribution? Here we go. Oh, perfect. So hash rate distribution. If to pool in BDC.com and pool OKX pool. I've never seen that one before. 1 tier hash and 58 coin. Okay. Anyway, whatever. So, if we were to, let's take these 3, because is that actually 50? It looks like that's right on 50%. It might be like 1% either way, but whatever. Okay. So if we take if to pool, pool in BTC.com, and this is just on the BTC blockchain, because I'm aware that some of those also mine BSV and BCH, those 3 pools would permanently own BSV, permanently own BCH. In other words, so where we talked previously in, let's go back to here. Everything on nice hash would give you a 4-minute block. If you took 100% of all of BTC, you would get 12.5 minutes worth of blocks, which is a 50 block reorg. Those same attackers would permanently, well, not even those same attackers, half of them would permanently own the BCH blockchain. They could stall it and basically just mine empty blocks, or just not mine any blocks at all, or yeah. So same for BSV as well. And in fact, if we come back here and we have a look, let's do some math here. So let's say that's going to be 25%. So what are we there, like 20%? So one pool, nope, spreadsheet, here we go. So 20% is going to give us, it's 109, 20% is 2. So they're literally 2%? Yeah, they're 2%, and that's 3%. No, surely not. Yeah. Okay, so actually, can we let's okay. Here's my train of thought. If to pool could 100% own both BCH and BSV concurrently, permanently. Pool in could own the blockchain, both BSV and BCH concurrently and permanently. BTC.com could, Antpool could, OKX pool could, and now we're getting down here. We're starting to look around about, like, that's more than 3.5%, right? So Slush Pool could permanently own the BSV blockchain. They could just mine empty blocks. They could do it in secret for like 2 days, and then just effectively erase everything that's happened in the last 2 days on the BSV blockchain. Hang on, let's bring up something more just in case. Just in case. Make sure I'm not going crazy here. This is very different. Why is this so different? 100 blocks. Right, okay. And there's 144 blocks per day, if memory serves me right on... So let's do some quick math. 86,400 divided by 60 divided by 10. Yeah, 144. Okay, 144 blocks a day. So this is a little under 1 day's worth. Oh, that's cool. Last 1,000. So if we do... Oh, so it's a week's worth. Okay, so the last week's worth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't know about you, because you didn't get very lucky for whatever reason. 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 different entities which could permanently destroy the BCH and BSV blockchains and just never let another transaction happen on them ever again. Never. Never, ever. So this is why when we're comparing, where we specifically talk about, where are we? This blog post, where you could only get 12.5 minutes worth, which is 50 blocks deep. Now, keep in mind that during that same time, the main chain is still functioning while somebody is effectively in private trying to... The way that a 51% attack works is somebody would try and deposit funds into an exchange. Yeah, we'll go through with this. So somebody would try and deposit funds into an exchange. For example, if we're talking about DigiByte, they would deposit DigiByte. If we're talking about BCH, they would deposit BCH. They would then take those funds, they would sell them on the open market. Once they are ready to be sold, they would get usually BTC for it. They'll have BTC sitting in their account. They'll then want that BTC to be withdrawn, which is why there are also delays on some exchanges when you are trying to withdraw stuff. And once they've made that trade, they've got their BTC, they're withdrawing that BTC from the exchange, they then roll back the blockchain effectively. They don't roll it back, but they take what they've been mining in private, which is usually at a higher difficulty, or it's actually, the way that it works is it's more work, effectively. So it's not specifically just a higher difficulty, but the amount of work, it's not the amount of blocks. You can have less blocks, but more work gone into it, which is why DigiByte has a higher orphan rate, because we'll chop and change a little bit back and forth between our different algorithms. The chain that you've then been mining in private is released to the world. The world effectively goes, oh, those funds didn't actually get transferred into the exchange. They're still back on the BCH blockchain, back at that original place. Meanwhile, the attacker has effectively gone, taken their funds, and roughly doubled them. Hence why it's called a double spend, along with other reasons, but yeah. So you have 12.5 minutes to do all of that with DigiByte before your time is effectively up, or at least at the time of writing. The numbers go up and down a little bit over time and things. 50 blocks, not long, especially given that if you are withdrawing BTC at that same time, most exchanges will not give it to you straight away. They'll wait for like a couple confirmations before withdrawing, in addition to the deposit confirmations too. And that's partly why they do it, for that security. So the exchange will be watching for a reorg on their change, or at least they should. Now I know that the Vertcoin guys suffered some pretty major double spend attacks, and they, I think it was actually James from the Vertcoin team, wrote an application, a bunch of scripts and things. I think it's a fully fledged application that's monitoring all the different blockchains, and he watches for reorgs on the different chains and things like that. Exchanges have something similar, and they keep an eye on it, and they see, okay, this happened, there's been a big reorg, and we're now missing like 10 blocks, for example, on a particular blockchain. Oh look, Bob over here deposited himself $5,000 worth, and that $5,000 is no longer on the new chain. It was on the old chain, but it's not on the new chain. Double spend attack, we're going to freeze his funds and not let him withdraw it. So that's why, again, the faster block times also plays into this, because they've got roughly 12.5 minutes, at least in this particular example, too. So, again, further increases the security. When, as I mentioned, if you're looking at the likes of, say, for example, BCH or BSV, any of those all the way around to, what's 3%? Probably around about there even, could single-handedly, like, they can just mine in secret for 48 hours and then just go, last 48 hours, BSV chain, BCH chain, didn't happen. Roughly. I think, actually, to be fair, I'm potentially misrepresenting this a little bit, because as far as I know, BCH have implemented some kind of like check box thing where they basically go, if you've got more than like 5 blocks or something, then you're not allowed to roll back more than that, or something along those lines, I think. But anyway, so Machine Life, are you in New Zealand? Yeah, I'm in New Zealand, currently in lockdown, so I can see out the window out there. It's raining at the moment, and the streets are barren, like you would not believe out there. It's hilarious. Let's have a look. We're keeping AutoCrypt. Yep, should replace SHA-256. It's probably likely that's going to happen. It's looking more likely, so I put something back on the day in Medium, actually. Let me bring up Medium. Because I look at a bunch of stuff back here. Pros and cons of algorithm upgrades. I put a little table together here about the upgrades and what we should replace and why. Yeah, and so basically it looks like that's the most reasonable one for us to do, SHA-256 and Quibbit, because reasons, and you're welcome to disagree with them. I'm not the one who pulls the strings or makes the final say. That's more me just going, what do you think? So that's pretty cool. Let's have a quick look at what else have we got happening in here. YouTube algo attacks. That's an interesting thought. G'day, Chilling Silence. Thank you for the live stream. You're welcome, mate. It's good to have everybody here. Yeah, so this is kind of, I mean, maybe we should quickly like wrap this up now. Fuck, 45 minutes. Turned out I had a bit to say on that. Anyway, so this is why not only I think that our multi-algo approach, and MultiShield itself is very secure. So the MultiShield is different, obviously, from the likes of what we have with Myriad Coin and Verge, who are the two other primary multi-algo coins. They have their own different implementations, both of which have had problems in the past, but we won't go into that today. And it's what we've got with DigiByte. Let's come back to this, because this sums it up really nicely. DigiByte's use of 5 mining algorithms is a novel approach to proof of work. It offers decentralization and greater security while requiring less overall network hash power. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, it's not flawless, it could be improved upon, we could be doing better in certain areas. Some of the things that we are looking at doing, obviously, with bringing in the likes of RandomX, POW, again, those will also help with the coin distribution, which I've previously talked about as well. Here, and why I'm not a fan of staking and masternodes, I go into the specifics of why I think that GPU mining and the likes are better. Specifically, proof of work is better than staking in that, but what we have is not only novel, it's secure, it's mind-blowing, the implications when you think about every 5 blocks it doubles, then it doubles again, then it doubles again. But that doubling is a doubling from what it is at the current time, not versus what it was when it started. So that's where you basically, you go double, you go 4 times, you go 16 times, you go 32, you go 64, 128 times, very, very, very rapidly. And that's why, even though we are not a majority hash power, it is still fantastic. Not perfect. Definitely some things could be better, but amazing. And so that's why you'll basically see a lot of exchanges will have a 50 block deposit. Because at that point in time, you're no longer looking at just like 1 or 2 pools on the, like, or 3, say, for example, having to collude to try and do it. You're talking about 100%. The whole entire Bitcoin network would have to stop mining Bitcoin, go mine DigiByte, and try and attack the network, and collude all of them, and it's not going to happen. So that's why you see 50 block deposit times on exchanges and things. Let's have a quick look. What takes longer, 1% DigiByte reduction monthly or Bitcoin halving? I actually don't know. I'm presuming the Bitcoin halving, because theirs is every like 4 years or whatever. Whereas ours is monthly, and so all of the whole entire supply of DigiByte it must be ours, because we're going to be fully mined by the year like 2032, 33, I think. It's not quite 2035 due to the changes that we've had since the start of the blockchain. Go and actually do the math. It's quite interesting if you have a look. I think it's like 2033 we'll be all 100% mined and solely just living off of the block rewards by that point. Yeah, update about DigiDollar. No idea what's going on. Not a fan of it myself. I don't like the idea that we pigeonhole ourselves specifically for that. Jared, last I heard, was going to be putting together a bit of like a white paper on the idea. Probably best you ask him. Is it a great idea? In theory, yeah. I think it's a great idea. It's definitely needed, especially for the likes of decentralized exchanges and things. Having a non-authoritative, fully decentralized stablecoin would be something great for BlockNet. Fantastic. We could do away with Tether. Great, again. Do I think that DigiByte needs to pigeonhole themselves specifically down that route, which we would largely do if we did have to make a whole lot of underlying core protocol changes? Not convinced it's for the best of us. But we'll see. Again, like I mentioned before, when it comes to choosing the algorithms, I'm not the one who's making all the decisions. So, yeah. Even if I say no and everyone else says yes, tough shit for Joe then, right? Yeah, so I think if you do have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. One thing that I don't want people to be doing after this is specifically going out and saying that DigiByte is unhackable. If you can't be double spent on, these are the famous words of Charlie Lee. This is one of the few times that I actually agree with him. If you cannot be double spent on, it is because you are centralized. It is possible on DigiByte, it just gets exponentially more difficult as time goes by. So sure, if you wanted to do like a 3-block double spend, you could potentially go and spend a few $1,000 and do it. You ain't going to get jack shit out of it, because the 3 blocks isn't going to get you anything. But the theory is there, right? 3 blocks is 45 seconds. You're not getting anything out of 3 blocks, and it would cost you a few grand. Whatever. But it's still doable. So I don't want people to go out there and say DigiByte is unhackable. I don't want us to be misrepresenting it like that. The difficulty exponentially increases as time goes on, though. And that is 100% honest. That's something we should be proud of. Hopefully this has kind of given you a little bit of things to think about, and you've enjoyed the some of the number theory crafting and things like that. There's not really any point in me going and like publishing that and putting it up, given whatever. 3 guesses as to what the exchange is. Ha ha ha, funny guy. Yeah. We'll call it a day there. If you do have any questions, sing out in the comment section below. Consider leaving a like, subscribe, hit the share button, and share this with other people who you think might appreciate it. If I have misrepresented the way that BCH can be double spent upon because they do have their checkpointing or whatever it is, terribly sorry. Don't really care enough. I'll find out eventually. I'm sure someone's going to sing out in the comment section below and go, hey, you were totally wrong. In which case, why, like, checkpointing is not without its own serious flaws, but we'll go into that in another day. Yeah, thanks everybody for being in the long chat, and appreciate you tuning in. From the looks of things here as well, it looks like this has held up perfectly too. No network drop frames, which is great. 3 gigs output. Sweet. I'm pretty stoked. We'll call it a day. Have a great one, everybody. We'll try and do some more DigiByte updates real soon. Unfortunately, things have been pretty slow, given the fact that most of the world is in lockdown. But we'll try and get some more DigiByte updates out real soon. In the meantime, go check out DigiByte.io. They've been doing a whole bunch of really cool stuff with the translations. Big thanks, big shout out to all of the team there in the translations Telegram channel, as well as Nigel and Murat, who've been doing a lot of hard work behind the scenes there. You guys are absolutely amazing. Big shout out, much love. We'll talk to you in the next video. Cheers.